things, or maybe even your first
Rodeo.
your first rodeo, even your first 3 or 4 months in class, you want to have one. If you've been taking it for, if you're one of our teachers, you don't need one. Another way of building support is going to be doing something like this, but this requires more strength and skill, and it takes away from how easy it is to find the butt muscles. We're going to be working with your butt today. I know it's exciting. You're excited about it. So I'm going to have you start, by coming onto your hands and knees, or you can do it in a chair, but you're going to relax your abdomen first. Abdominal relaxing, we were working on hip extension the other day. Finding a straight leg, backing up your hips. And one of the things that makes that hard to do is how tight you hold your gut all the time. Have you been sucking in your stomach for a year, or 10, 40, 60? So what happens is, like, when you suck your stomach in, where does it go? When you hold your stomach in, where does it go? If you can, if you have a before and an after in a mirror, and then you change in circumference, where did it go?
Into the pelvis.
Right, it goes into the cavity. But the cavity is packed pretty full with your organs, so then where do they go?
They get stretched.
They get displaced. They can't really compress. Like, you can't take yours hard and wad it up. Right? Like, they don't really compress. They don't have air pockets or loose weave. So what happens is when you take your stomach, anything that's on the outside of the wall, the stomach like, hey, what's this over my pants? That's what's sitting on top of the muscle, yeah?
Right.
So when you pull it into behind that wall, you're not bringing what's on the outside inside, but you're bringing it inward. And then what's on the inside has to go up or down. So that's where hernias come from. If you ever wonder about hiatal hernias, or when your intestines end up in your thoracic cavity, did you ever ask yourself, like, how does that happen? Like, they're not walking up there. You're pulling them up there. Right, and you push them up, or you can push them down. And for men, there's no exit, so what sits between the organs and the down movement is the prostate. So you can get like a non-bacterial inflammation, just compression. For women, you do have an exit. And if you push them downward, where do they go? They just keep going out, and that's called prolapse or an organ prolapse. So if you're wondering where these things, not was like, well, you've been upright for so long, so gravity just takes its toll and things fall out. You're creating other vectors up and down. So this is where you're going to start tying into if you are holding in things that are stiffening or making your torso too stiff to function. So you can be on your hands and knees, but this is not a hands and knees class, and we haven't really had time to go through how to take care of your wrists and hands. So you can also do it like this. But what you're going to do is let your stomach out. You can be on your hands and knees too. We're going to work on relaxing. So that means dropping your head, letting the spine relax, and letting the belly relax. So gravity's pulling on your organs right now, and they're moving down. So the front of your wall of your stomach, as you relax, should move closer to the floor. I'm giving out $20 bills if anyone can actually get their stomach to the floor. Just kidding. I'm not. But it's that, and it's like waves of relaxation, right? But you want to get to the place where you are not tensing to hold yourself up. Why don't you do it seated? Because if you're here and tense and holding yourself, you're not going to get to the point to relax. So you can absolutely do it in a chair. It would be like, here's my stomach, let it relax. Let your chest relax. Just keep letting your abdomen relax. Let your low belly out. Keep let's go more. How's it going in there? Now, can you tune into how you would pull it up right now if I was like, all right, I'm going to take a quick picture of the class. Hey, can you feel, is there a difference? Just anyone? Can anyone relate? And then go back to where it was before. And relax your head. And don't worry. It's all going to be okay. And then see if you can go back to the tension that you may be holding there often. You'll feel if you tune into it, it's kind of like an upward feeling. And what's happening is when your abdomen is pulled in like that, it packs in things that are on the outside, also underneath your diaphragm. Your diaphragm needs to be able to move in order to breathe. But if you pulled everything in, you're really blocking your diaphragm from moving its full range of motion. So then you still have to breathe. So if the diaphragm can't move, then sometimes you have to start breathing in through your shoulders. Right? You start to have shoulder tension because you have pulled in or moved this. So we want to keep that relaxed abdomen. Relaxing your abdomen, relaxing your kneecaps, relaxing your jaw. These are all ways of kind of offsetting some of too much tension we tend to carry.
Should our back be pretty straight or should it be swayed?
It should be swayed, right?
Swayed.
Gravity.
Okay.
Just think old horse out in the pasture. I grew up with horses, so and they're just it relaxes, and that's what your spine does when it relaxes. If it's not what is the word, like concave, then it's not relaxed yet. There's bracing, and bracing is nice for support, but bracing keeps a lot of fluid out. It means that there's not a flow, there's no movement in that area, so it's like a short-term solution. You want the bracing to happen by the right amount of abdominal response to you moving, not for you just to sit and put a giant ring of pressure in there and then never move it. We did a 5-day series on core, right? That was a few months ago, and that was great. It took a while to break some of this down. And then you can kind of shift from side to side while you're there and see if as you move you can stay relaxed with the abdomen. Or if it wants to tense back up. If you had a mirror at home, you can look and see if you can get to the place where the spine is relaxed. Really around the lower back. Sometimes the pelvis will be tucked, but the rib will be thrusted. So it's down low in your hips, letting that pelvis tilt down. If it's too much on your back, you can come to your elbows. If you come to your elbows, that'll reduce the load on your spine. Okay, so that's our abdominal or diaphragm release. And you want to check in if you hold a lot of tension there. Feel a little stiff, just give yourself a minute to do abdominal release. All right, now you're going to come up to your chair. No, you're not going to sit in it. So you're going to have the chair in front of you with a straight leg. Well, I also want you to have a relaxed back. If you have extra mobility or you're one of those populations who I said before can use the blocks, go for that. I have my chair to give out if anyone needs it. Anyone? If your legs cannot straighten, I'm gonna have you use this for this part. I'm gonna have you use it. Okay. Use it. I think it'll help. All right, are we there? Are we there? So I'm just gonna have you be here for a minute, and I want you to walk your feet a little closer to wherever you have your hands. So there's this tendency. See if you can see me in the mirror. There's this tendency to kind of get like this, really far forward, and I want you to be really far back. So your hips are far behind your heels. And if you can't get there, then step closer to your chair and see if you can do that there. We're starting to see how comfortable are you using the backs of your legs as opposed to the fronts of your legs. So if I go behind you, I'll be like, just bring your hips back towards me. Keep going, keep going, keep going. There. So keep that far back. And open your feet a little wider than pelvis width. And then start shifting your weight from side to side without migrating your pelvis forward. What happened?
Stuff in there from all week.
Now, the back, can you see me in the mirror? If when you go over, you're really rounded here, what it means is the chair is too far away from you. And I want you all to get to the point where you have some concavity here, or extension versus flexion. So you're going to put a couple blocks on your chair until you get to the point where you can put a little concavity in your back. I do not expect you to continue to sit there the entire time, so you can come up when you need to. So I'm gonna have you walk forwards. Keep going, come closer. Now I'll put your hands up or something. Put your hands here. Open your feet a little wider. Bring your feet a little closer to the chair. There you go. And then keep your arms straight. Keep your arms straight, straight, straight. Relax your spine. Keep your arms straight. I know. So keep your arms straight and relax your spine. Oh, not your arms. Oh, not your arms. Isn't it great?
Yeah.
So what happens is our bodies start to confuse the parts. I want you to relax your spine, and you want to bend your elbows. And that lets you know that bending your elbows is how you've gotten around, not moving the back as much. So it's kind of like a meditation. You have to look at your elbows and go straight, 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 straight. Keep straightening your elbows. Don't let them bend. And let this relax to the ground. Keep straightening your arms. Push your arms into the ground. Push your arms into your blocks so that you're holding your arms straight. Keep thinking of relaxing here, but keep straightening your arms. Straightening your arms. So I'm going to have you walk a little closer. I'm going to have your arms support your weight. Go forward, Linda, a little bit more. Let your arms support your weight. Let your shoulders come down. Step forward. There you go. Let your arms hold your weight. Your back can't relax unless you give your arms your weight. So if you're trying to hold it all on your legs, or you've got the chair too far away from you, you're not going to be able to relax the back. Getting to the point where the arms are straight and propping up our weight, and then the legs are free to go side to side. How is that? Go a little wider with your feet. Wider with your feet. Go side to side. Straighten your legs. Lift your tailbone. Yeah. Where is it for you?
Back of legs and butt.
Back of the legs and butt.
I can't relax my back.
But it doesn't want to go?
No.
So how can I talk to you in your terminology here? No, I'm just thinking of like architect terminology. So your arms can't hold your weight if they're out here loose. So get to the point where your arms are straight, widen them, and then let them hold it there. And let your head relax too. Now actually push them down, and so this comes up even higher. And then walk your feet closer more, because you have long legs, you have to go more, there you go, and then come back. And then just keep pushing actively down. Like I want to see a vector in there the whole time. Can you relax your belly? Just like we did when we were on our hands and knees. So your legs are working, your arms are working, but your belly's relaxed. You're trying to teach your back how to not stiffen all the time, right? All right, and then go and come up for a second. Now you're going to take your dome and put it in front of your chair. I don't know if that's the right terminology, because is it in front of the chair that way? It's like, all right. Yes. Ball the foot up. And just going to do one calf stretch here. Does everyone have access to a mirror? All right, check and see if your hips are forward, or if your like if your torso is forward. So see if you can get to the point where you're vertical as you stand. From the side view, watch the ribs. Ribs have a way of wanting to get out in front of you. So the rib cage sits over the pelvis, not out in front. The rib cage needs to have your pelvis directly underneath it, or else it's hanging in the air. Switch to the other foot for a second. Who did this yesterday outside class? Anyone? Oh, there. Oh. I see. Did you win the spelling bee too? Okay, go forward a little bit more with the foot. Just a little bit. Feel the back pull of the legs?
Yes.
All right. We're going to do this, but with both feet at the same time. Both feet at the same time is a little precarious. So we're going to use the chair to hold up. So you'll come off the back. You'll step up with both feet, and then you're going to come down to the chair. Trying to get any convex curve out of your back, out of it, right? So it's like this. And you'll start to see if any of the curve in your upper back is related to what's going on in the back of the legs. Shift your weight back just a little bit. And then work to straighten the legs. Lift the toes. So I'm going to have you back your hips up a little bit more. And if you need to, you can back the whole chair up so you still feel supported while you're there. How's it going? How's the calf stretch there for you? A good one? This is called the double calf stretch because I am not creative with names. All right. Can you shift side to side while you're doing that? Kind of to the right, kind of to the left, kind of to the right, kind of to the left. Yeah, one side more than the other?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
So much.
Okay, now go ahead and come on up. All right. Put that under the chair. Come back to your hands supporting you here. And this time you're going to move your right foot center. You're going to move your right foot center so that it is in line with the same plane your nose is on. It's right on the midline of the body. When your feet are pelvis width apart, you've got one leg kind of to the right, one to the left of your midline. Now you're going to move your right foot so it sits on the midline. Then you're going to reach your left foot back off the floor just a little bit. So now you're on a single leg. As you're on your single leg, can you relax your tailbone, relax your spine as you did when we were having both feet on the ground? Can you lift your tailbone up in the air? And when you lift your tailbone up in the air, so it's an anterior tilt, pelvis goes forward, lift your butt up towards the ceiling, and then push your weight back towards your heels. How's that there? Does your knee want to bend? This would be where you would check to see if your kneecap lifts or lowers.
This is when mine will. I was doing this.
That's great. All right, so yeah, okay, good. So you totally can lift your knees. You've already figured out how to do it.
Let's do it again.
It's a different particular situation. All right, go and switch legs. How was that? Other leg right on the center. Shift your weight back. Lift your other leg up off the ground. Straight legs, good. So you want to have a straight leg and a tailbone that's up. Put your weight back in your heels, more weight in your leg, less on your shoulders. The shoulders are there for balance. The shoulders are also there for support. But you want to make sure that if you're too far forward, it's not even possible to hold yourself really in the back of your leg. Can you go back one more inch? All right, I'm going to take a break and stand up for a second. How was it? Good? Okay. You're going to come so that your knees almost kiss the front of your chair. You don't have to be all the way up there, but maybe you bend them a half of an inch, they touch. Close there. Okay. Now move your right foot back to the midline. So that right foot's center. Can you stand on just your right leg? But you want your knee, look how close my knee is to your chair. So you, when you're on that one leg, your knee is almost touching the front of the seat. Can you, without bumping that right knee into the chair, can you bend down and put two hands on the chair? And then can you stand up on that same leg without that knee touching the chair? And then can you try that again? Now look in the mirror. Is your back one around this way? Yeah. Can you stick your tailbone up just like you did when you're on a straight leg? So as you come down, can you think of sticking your butt out behind you as you come down? And then can you stand back up? All right, go ahead and stand on both legs for a second. I'm going to fill in a step here. Get your knees real close so they kiss whatever you're using. Reach your arms out in front of you. Oh, wow. I didn't know I had that much power. That was amazing. It was like a synchronized swimming team. Nice. Who's Esther? What was her last name?
Williams.
Oh. Yes. My mom made us watch a lot of Esther Williams. Dangerous When Wet. All right. That was the name of it. That was the name of the synchronized swimming team. All right. Here's what you're going to do. How far can you sit back without your knees pushing into the chair? Now look to the side. Use the side so you can kind of see. See how far your hips hinge back? Look at that. That looks great. And then come up slowly. Try it again. Go ahead and come on back. So the knees move back. And that's the nice thing about this chair is it gives you good feedback, right? If your knees go forward or not. How's it going? How close are you to level? Okay, come on up. What I also like about this chair, which I never realized before, like you try this at home, is there's a tendency you want to curl forward. So this actually keeps you raising your arms. It keeps you from getting to the point where you do this, go forward, or go down. Try it again. And keep breathing. You want to make sure that you're not holding your breath as you do your squat. You feel your glutes back there? Can you lift your arms high off the chair? And then come all the way up. All right, try again. Was that cardio?
I think it is.
So it was really good.
Why are we having our stance narrow?
No particular reason.
Okay.
No particular reason right now. Oh, and then one coming up. All right, now we already did one leg with the single squat. It was right for me, and I think I could right. Now you're doing the other side. Same thing. So now your one leg is on the midline. And as very close to the chair as you had it in the last one. And you're just going to start by standing on a single leg. And if you need the support, you can touch your chair. But you're going to go ahead and come down until your hands touch. But I want you to be squatting on that leg too. So it's essentially you're going to do a sit back like you just did on two legs, only you're doing it on one. So your tailbone still needs to be doing this. It's still that same back reach, only you're on one leg. And I just figured out another middle step we need. So go ahead, come on up. Come back to two legs. Sometimes I figure out how to teach it after I've taught it. All right. Go ahead and come on down to that squat that you're all doing so perfectly there. Now, put your hands on your chair and pick your left leg up. There. So you see what you're doing with your hips? That's what we're after on that single leg. Now, slowly come on up. So you see if your leg and your glutes really can pull you back up. Now go back down on that same leg back to that same depth that you could do before. Can you push your chest forward just a little bit? Imagine that your arms had to go over the back of the chair, so don't let the upper body collapse just because you're using your chair. And slowly stand up. So we're doing a single leg squat, yeah? One more time without touching down in between. You can, of course, touch down in between, but that's like a rest. If you don't touch down in between and stand back up, you'll get some muscle endurance there. And then go ahead and switch legs. Put your feet side by side. Get your knees close. That was my right leg. Was that your right leg?
Yeah.
All right, whatever it was, we're going to do the other one. Take that leg, sit back, both legs. Big squat like you did before. Now shift to the other leg and then stand back up. Now you can hold your arms out in front, or you can put your arms down on your chair as you work that same leg. The biggest thing is that you don't lose the form of extending through the lower back just a little bit. Flex the hip. Make sure that you're not flexing the spine as you come down, but you're untied. And try to do 3 or 4 single leg squats there. They're small, but they're mighty. One more? Half more? No more? Perfect. Whatever it was. Okay. Yeah. Get your dome. Face the front for a second. We go back to the chair, but this is to break it up a little. You're going to face the front. Put the ball of the foot up. Step forward with the other foot. And we're going to do a soleus stretch now. We did that on day 1 and day 2. So what was the big thing with the soleus stretch was to watch to see if the knee wanted to rotate in, yeah? So that when you bend the knee to move the stretch into your lower ankle, the knee tracks straight forward. And when you're looking at that front view is when you can see if there's a tendency for the knee to want to come in. Just to be clear, the knee isn't dropping in like this. It's not deviating this way. If I had lines on my pants, you would see that as I bend it, the whole leg is rotating in. So it creates the look of an angle, and there is an angle, but it really rotated. Thus, the correction isn't just to push it out, but to rotate it out. Okay, go and switch to the other leg. Slowly stretch, your feet are forward. You're going to bend the back knee. But you're watching the knee. Now watch your knee, it's going to be important. You stay there and hold that move for a second. It's important because for many, when you go to do that squat, look at my knee in the air forward. When you go to do that squat, you're going to see that it's tracking in as you come down. So step off for a second. Put your arms out in front of you, and then do this with your arms. Okay? Put it down again. Do that. So that's rotating the arms out, rotating the arms in, and it's really more up in the shoulder that we're trying to do that. So you have that motion. This motion is the same as this motion. If you try with both feet at the same time, think of, when you put your arms down here, put an internally rotated. So arms and legs out. Oh, yeah, very nice. Try it again. It's okay though, you see how my feet are lifting up on the inside? Let your feet lift. And you're not really bending the knees and opening them this way. You have to keep that straight leg and rotate them open. So that rotation You're going to put that into your squat a little bit. Okay, come back down. Just come really close. And I'm going to have you keep your legs together for now. It's a little easier. You're a little lighter in this position. And you're going to go ahead and, what do we want to do? Let's go back with 2 legs, because that was working for us. Go back with 2 legs and then put your hands down. Look down at your knees. Lift your left leg up and see if that leg wanted to move in when you did that. And if it did, think about rotating it back out. Kind of push it to the right, I guess, a little bit. And then can you maintain that knee out as you stand up? Or as you come up, does it kind of want to go in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out? How would you know how it does? Looking at it. Look at it. Don't go by how it feels, go by how it looks. So you're going to try a few standing up and coming down, and what you're watching really is how much that leg is, internal, external, or maybe just out, in, out, in. Watch your tailbone. Make sure you don't start getting rounded up. We don't want to do our squats in a fetal position here, we want to do the opposite. You find your butt yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This is kind of like when we did the 1 hour of pelvic lifting. This is okay, great. All right, go to switch sides. Make sure to start with your knees close. And that way we don't accidentally slowly back up where the quads start taking over the lunge from the butt. So you're going to start right up with your knees kissing the chair. Reach back into a squat. Sit as far and low as you can with your hips. Then put your hands down. Then pick your right foot up, watching your knee to see if it wanted to drop in when you did that. Bring it out if you need to. Sometimes you have to bring it in. And then can you stand up slowly, keeping your knees stable? It's usually up high, it has to do that work. Try to put down again. And come on up. How is it?
Great.
Thanks. You're so good.
Oh.
All right, take a break. Yeah, it's right in there. Like, oh, there you are. Let's come on up and just load ourselves a little differently. Let's do the soleus stretch again. Now, instead of getting into the soleus stretch and correcting, this time I want you to turn that thigh out first and then step forward to your calf stretch. So you're going to externally rotate first. How do you know if you've externally rotated? You're going to be looking at what? Your own leg. If you put one foot up and then step back with the other leg, so there's not a lot of weight on that front leg. Look down on it and play with internally and externally rotating. It's up high, the thigh goes. The thigh is the one that's turning. Some more space for you. I want you to turn your thigh out. And I want you to hold it out. Make sure your pelvis is still forward. Sometimes we turn our thigh out because we've turned our whole body out. So hold your pelvis towards the front of the room and turn the thigh out. Then, holding the thigh out, step forward to the calf stretch. Usually that's going to pull more.
How can you keep the foot straight?
Well, eventually, the foot's position in terms of being straight or not, how do I say that, is not, I can turn my thigh and turn my foot. But because I have 33 joints in my foot, I can also turn my thigh and not turn my foot. So what happens is the foot changes position in order to allow its edges to be straight. That's what an arch is. An arch is your ability So like when I turn my thigh out, I get a higher arch. And when I turn my thigh in, I get a lower arch. I haven't changed the straightness of my foot per se, but the arch is your arch. There's no arch in your foot. The arch is the shape that's made out of the relative position between the bones of the lower body. But it takes a lot of foot mobility, right? The stiffer your foot, then the more you turn your thigh, the more the foot has to go with it. The more malleable your foot, and also it also has to do with how well your lower leg bones rotate over each other, like the pronation, supination equivalent of the lower leg. Then the more position you can have of the thigh and not be dragging your foot with it. Now from here, your thighs rotated out. Now bend it a little bit and add that soleus stretch. Check your back foot, make that straight too. So if you look at both of your feet, both of them are pointing forward, about the width of the pelvis, like we learned. Not too close, not too far, but scale to the width of your front pelvic bones here. I just really like this one a lot. Do you like this one better, soleus, or calf stretch better? All right, so you do the one that you like better. If you prefer, if you get more movement out of the straight leg calf stretch, do that one. If you get more movement out of this soleus stretch, do that one. All right, let's switch sides. Why don't you reach that same foot behind you to the top of the foot stretch before you go to the other side. Just so you remember everything from this week. All right, other foot. Put it up, but don't step forward with the other one yet. Once it's up there, play with rotating the thigh. Turn that leg out externally, or if you put your right arm out, remember you're doing this. You're going in this direction. So do that same thing with the leg, and then step forward. If you look at your hip in the mirror, when you step forward, it's common to, can you see, there's actually a shadow passing through my ASIS, through my knee to my ankle. Can you see that? Watch that same shadow as I do that. You see how I move my hip out? It's really common to do the calf stretch like this. Where as you step forward, you also hip chop out that side. When you step forward, you want to keep that shadow in that same orientation. And then, if you like, have that bending knee. If you do the soleus stretch and you're like, I've got more mobility there, less on the other one, then switch to the one that moves you more. All right, and you come on down. The top of that foot real fast. All right, here we go. Back to our chair. Back to our chairs. Let's go back where we started, which was propping yourself on your chair and just relaxing the spine. Relax the abdomen too, as we did for the abdominal or diaphragm release. And it's the back. And the back relax more without bending the arms. And then can you shift side to side? Now you don't want to shorten the sides of your waist. So sometimes we end up swinging side to side. It's kind of twisty motion. You don't want to do this twisty motion. You're really just shifting purely to the right or to the left. Keep your arms long and strong.
Why did he take it? Why did he swallow the fish out? Why did he swallow?
Okay. And then turn around and have a seat in your chair. Or if you don't have a chair, You're just going to have a seat in your imaginary chair. You don't have to hold it there while I'm talking though the whole time. So what you're going to try to do is you're going to get yourself set up where, what I'm going for is a 90-degree angle of the knee. Or really better, it's easier to say like a 90-degree angle of the ankle. So we're trying to avoid when our heels are this close, where my ankles end up really compressed. I'm trying to get to the point where they start from more 90 degrees. So if you're standing, we have the knees up against the chair so that my ankle joints couldn't get smaller as I did the squat. That kept my knees from going forward. See that? Just try to keep your knees back. So I want you to see if you can get up out of the chair without pulling your feet closer to you. So you're going to do a few up and downs. Trying to figure out, you might have to go way far forward, what you need to do to come up and down. If you figured out how to do it, that's great. Like once you figure that out, then see if you can do it more slowly. I know. Speed is definitely an ally. That is the best biofeedback tool. You're like, I guess I made it to the ground. It is.
Where am I? Am I laying on the floor? Right. It's called rest.
All right, so you got that. And then it's to not have a falling phase. So at first it's just become aware of the falling phase. Because sometimes you're just doing it and you kind of don't pay attention to the falling phase. I want you to see if you get to the point in which you're like, all right, here I go. Oh, right.
Yeah.
So the distance between the end of your control range, that distance, that's for you to make all your improvement in that space. But just like with the pelvic list, we had to scale the size of the block. You need to scale the size of your seat to find where exactly, like bolster yourself to the point where you lose control. And then it's also where you lose control is where you have to use a little bit of momentum to come up. So you're trying to get to the point where you don't have to use momentum, you just can lift up and set back down. So you use a block, and then you get to the point where you never actually transfer your weight all the way to what you're sitting on. You just go down and touch, and then you come right back up. It's like, what?
It's like the chair moves back further.
Yes. Then you can watch to see if your knees come together or move apart. And if they do that, then you would want to find the height at which dropping in or moving away is not part of your strategy. The nice thing about this is that it naturally causes extension of the upper body because you need as much help as you can to get up, so then pretty soon you're like, well, if I can just put a little more weight over here, and that's when you start to stretch your body just naturally through the reach, right? You're trying to use a counterweight. She's one of our teachers. I'm feeling it.
She's also one of the best fallers of that.
That's right.
I know, we did a pretty good job.
She would prefer if I threw frisbees at her as she was doing it. The nice thing about the biofeedback is it shows you how much of this you have. Like you really have to just touch and come back up without any forward or backward, in or out motion. That's not part of this. That's good. How is it?
Not good, no.
If your knees tend to want to go out, you can put something in between to hold them.
It's the same one.
If your knees tend to go in, oh no, that is officially going, right?
Either way. I mean, as long as you're not pressing into them.
Yeah. All right. Who's ready? we're not really gonna do a single leg, but what I am gonna have you do is one flat foot and one toe up foot. And that's only if you want to move to the next level of intensity. If you're like, no, I'm good, thanks, then just do a couple more of those. But if you want to see if that leg can carry a little more weight than half, then it's a way to kind of slowly, oh, it's the down. I love your face. It's just like, it is eccentric going down, but it's also because you almost double the weight. That's why it's harder. But it is eccentric going down for sure. It's eccentric going down with 2 legs.
Yeah.
But it's just that it went from, it's almost 2x, you know what I mean? Like it would double your weight. Just a little support with the other foot if you need. Just a little support. And the key is always thinking of reaching the hips back and reaching the arms forward.
That does help.
How is it?
Yes.
How is it? Yes, it's totally different side to side.
Yeah.
One side is like, other side is like,
Oh, yeah, that's not a good for
okay, go on and get yourself into your supported forward bend with a relaxed spine. So that means build yourself up as high as you need to. Bring your feet close together with your right foot on the midline. So your feet are close together, but you're kind of scooched to the left just a little bit. Push your right leg into the ground and list. Remember the list? And we're doing it bent over. So watch me here for a second. We are going to go into a single leg, but a lot of times it goes like this. You just lift the leg up. So instead of lifting the leg this way, I want you to keep your legs side by side and get your left foot up off the ground because you listed it. Listed it. And put that leg down and list the other side. When you list, check back in with your spine to make sure your spine didn't round when you list, but it still stays relaxed. There you go. So hold that foot up there for a second and then relax your spine. Think of reaching your chest forward a little. All right, go back to that first leg. Right foot down. Left foot comes up. Now reach your left leg back after you've listed it. How's your standing leg? Straight? Did the knee rotate in a little bit? And if it did, can you kind of rotate it out just a little bit? What about your floating hip? High? Or can it come down low? Lift it up high again, roll it high, and then drop it low. All right, switch sides. All right, left leg to the middle. Relax your spine, and push your left foot down and lift your right hip up. And then reach that leg out once you've listed. Reach it behind you. Can you drop your floater hip? And then keep lifting that leg. That's going to be your little bit of glute strength, hamstring strength. Now the key is to make sure you're not overly using your hands. You're here for balance, but not so much here for weight bearing. So you kind of push your hands away from you. Keep them touching, but just use them for a little support. And then go ahead and relax down. How is it? Yeah. Who wants to lie down? Yes, okay, lie down. Lie down. Maybe take a minute to walk a chair. Fold it, put it back so you have some space. And then come on your back. Get yourself propped as you need to. That's fine. Actually, I'm going to take it out. Slide around. Thank you. There you go. All right, get yourself relaxed on your back. I'll take these, you guys. something underneath your head. Thanks.
Thank you.
So that's what? How are you down there? Can you bend your knees? Put the soles of your feet together. Let your knees drop out to the side. If that's excruciating, what do you know you can do now? Bolster, right? Bolster. Sometimes this one's going to be a really loud one. And if you feel it in, screaming in your hips and knees, screaming is not really what we're after. So you just have to scale it a little bit. You'll put something underneath your hips or your knees or one knee, whatever you need to do, to get to the point where you can stretch this area, move this area, but not where it exceeds your place where you're not tensing in response. Reach your arms up over your head. Who's coming to class tomorrow?
Yes.
We will not do legs, I promise.
Thank you.
In fact, you should just come in and sit on the ground. And I will not make you do anything with your legs for 1 whole hour. Can you, instead of having your soles together, can you cross your ankles over a little bit? That feels good. Same things earlier in class. Remember your feet? Remember how instead of just pointing your toes and rolling onto the top of the foot, you could dorsiflex the ankles. Cross your other ankle on top. And let your knees drop out to the side. You want to do an airplane real fast? Anyone want to do an airplane? You don't want to do airplane or dump truck? Do an airplane. Do an airplane or dump truck. Can you bring your knees into your chest? I'll show you the best dump truck ever. Bring your knees and just let your knees go side to side. Only mallards though. I only give mallards rides. Can you go? Can you take your knees all the way to the side? I also do mallards and penguins. Right, Conservation? All the way up. You have to hold on so tight. So tight. So tight. Cross your ankles. So tight. So tight. So tight. All right. Woo! Don't let go. I'll put you down. All right. All right, take your knees to the other side. What about penguins? What about penguins?
Look at the job.
Oh,
Hanging on.
get on there. You gotta hold on so tight. You gotta get on. I'm not even talking about the choking tight thing. It's tight. No, you can't. Cross your hands. Cross it. Squeeze. Squeeze as hard as you can. These are earthquake legs. All right.
My turn.
Yeah. If you came over here right now, that'd be so great. All right, Lisa. We're gonna do it. Bring your knees in to the best of your ability. Just cross your ankles. I want to get up into the hip a little bit. So sometimes just crossing your ankles and letting your knees drop out can get there. Sometimes you can take a little more by crossing your ankle up and over. So there's crossing straight over, and then there's what we call the number 4 stretch. The number 4 stretch is when you push your knee out to the side. But you don't really want to be very aggressive with it because the knee gets trapped in between a tight hip and the ankle on your knee. So that's why you don't really force it down. You can kind of pull it in though, in this position a little bit. And you push your knee out to the point where it moves your hip for you this way. And you can also keep your foot on the ground and work on it this way. But the work should be in the hip. The movement should be in the hip, not in the knee. And then switch to your other leg on top. All right, and then go and relax all the way down. Straighten your legs all the way out. Nice job, everyone.